navigation with Indian constellation. So even it might be a small news or small statement by the Indian government, but this is going to be our future. This is going to be our future, and this is a probable question, high chances of high question both for the prelims and the mains. So what is it? So Indian government is pushing the smartphone makers to enable its supports to NavIC navigation system. I'll explain you guys. So which was not this statement, the government was pushing the smartphone makers like Samsung and other people to use this navigation system. What is the present one? They're using GPS or GLONASS they're using. So they wanted to use, Indian government wanted to use this system, NavIC. But what is the major issue is, they're saying bring it in a year. In 1 year, you have to make a devices that are compatible with NavIC. But these people are like, this is a very tight time frame, so it will be very difficult for us, additional cost. So it will increase the cost of production and other research and work also, because they have to make the smartphones to compatible to this, and they have to distribute, and all these things have to take place within a year. So that is the major issue. The companies like Samsung, Xiaomi, Apple, they will fear the elevated cost disruptions will require hardware changes, and that will not take place in the time given by the Indian government. So this is in news. So this announcement of Indian government was not liked by these device makers. So now what is this NavIC? It is also known as Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. Okay, Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. So it was 7 satellites, 3 geostationary and 4 geosynchronous. What is geostationary and what is geosynchronous? Geostationary is a part of geosynchronous only. I'm not going into detail of space thing, but I'll give you some basic knowledge. So this geostationary means the satellite will fix on the equator. So at any point of the time, the satellite will be focusing on the earth. Geostationary, not the present one I'm talking. In general, the geostationary orbit means, so it will be along with the equator plane. At any time, the satellite will be focusing towards the earth. So constantly. And whereas geosynchronous is, it is also a satellite that will be revolving around with the earth's rotation. But it will have some inclination, and it will be some low orbit. It will be not like a geostationary orbit, it will come under a little lower orbit. And what will happen is, it will not complete 24 hours. It will have very like 4 seconds or 5 seconds less than our earth rotation. Why? Because our earth's gravity will make it move little faster. Malli cheptanu, geostationary orbit, so that if we place a satellite into the geostationary orbit, it will revolve around the equator. Along with that equator orbit, it will move. So it will constantly be towards the earth at any point of time. So మనం ఏ టైంలో ఎప్పుడు చూసినా మన తల మీదే ఉంటుంది. Okay, that is geostationary. In simple terms, geosynchronous is, it will not be in the equatorial plane. It will not be in the equatorial plane. It will be in a little lower orbit, little closer to the earth. The orbit is little closer to earth, and it will have some inclination. See, మన earth already ఒక tilt అయి ఉంటుంది. You know that, right? See, I'm not going to take again the geography class. So what we'll majorly do is, so it will have some tilt, that inclination towards the orbits. So our inclination ఉండడం వల్ల ఏమవుతుంది అంటే, it will revolve little faster, and because of earth's gravity, అది 24 hours లో ఒక rotation complete చేయదు. ఇంకొక 4 seconds 6 seconds ముందే earth rotation complete చేస్తుంది. The geosynchronous satellite, which when we place in this orbit. Geostationary is also geosynchronous, but it will be in an equatorial plane. Okay, అంతవరకు అర్థం చేసుకోండి చాలు. 3 satellites were in a geostationary orbit, 4 were in geosynchronous. What is GPS? GPS will cover all the earth, all the spaces of the world. We will have GPS, but our navigation system will cover 1500 kilometers beyond our borders, not the whole earth. Its focus is India and 1500 kilometers around India. So this 1500 kilometers. Okay, next. So every satellite majorly will have 3 extremely accurate rubidium atomic clocks. So recently what happened, one of our first satellite which we launched earlier, first one, see, we didn't send all the 7 and 8 at a time. We didn't send 7 at a time. So we phased it out. So the first one, the clocks on the first one were damaged. They failed. So that's the reason why we sent another one to replace the first one. Okay. Anyways, so we'll have atomic clocks on our satellites. So the GPS receivers will not work, need special receivers. So that is the reason why these device makers have to make a special receivers. Till now they were compatible with the GPS receivers. Now we have to make other ones. So that is their major problem. And one more thing, this will have 2 services. Majorly it will provide 2 services. Our navigation system devised for 2 services. One is our general, like for the fisherman or for the traffic or vehicle for the civilian purposes. And the second one is restricted one. Second one is restricted services. That is majorly for the military purposes and strategic purposes. Why? Because why do we need this navigation satellite system? Who will handle this GPS? GPS everything? US. Who will, under whose control it is in US? US military. US defense will have a control of GPS. GLONASS, Russia's. It is also with the Russia's military, Russia's defense. Let's think, we have a war, or there's a situation where we need the satellites need to be focused on our territories, our boundaries. At that time, they denied the services. Russia ki manke padledu, we didn't supported them, or whatever might be the reason. At that time, they denied the services. US denied and Russia denied. Then what is the case? So that is the reason why majorly we wanted it for the security purposes also. Clear? Anyways, we'll come back to that. So geosynchronous orbits in pairs. These are in pairs. So they move into 2 inclined orbits. So in the form of an 8. And what about these? These are appear to be from the ground. They will appear to be fixed in a positions in the sky. So అది అక్కడే ఒక స్టార్ లాగా ఉంటుందేమో. If you see all the time, you will find it there, because it is revolving along with the Earth's equator and Earth's rotation. So these are the same points whatever I told you just now. So who, obviously it was ISRO. As I told you, the first one was replaced with IRNSS 1A because the atomic clocks were failed in that. So it covers 1500 kilometers from the India's boundaries. So for now, see, it's supposed to be operational, supposed to be introduced in 2011, but it became operational in 2018. Now it is operational. So public vehicle tracking, emergency warning to the fishermen, providing information for the natural disasters. So next step should be using in the smartphones. Indian government is pushing them to make it in an year. 1 year they want to bring this. So what are the other navigation systems? GPS. So as I told you, they was controlled by United States Space Force. So the NavIC, so see, what is the difference between the GPS and the NavIC? NavIC is a serviceable area covered by these systems, both were. GPS scatter users across the globe. It contains 24 satellites. GPS has 24 satellites revolving all the time around the world. So our number is very less. So, and its satellite circles the Earth twice a day. Well, NavIC is currently for use in India and its adjacent areas. So, these probably GPS, US, Galileo for European Union, and Russia, GLONASS, DU for China, and quasi-Zenith satellite navigation system by Japan. Japan is also not the worldwide. It is majorly focusing around the Japan and the ocean around the Japan, especially this China, South China Sea and the China. They majorly wanted their that area to be under their surveillance. Okay, so this is also not the worldwide. Japan also. So why do we want? As I told you, for majorly for the security reasons. So they can deny the services at any time, and we want the servers in our country, and we want the satellites in our control. So that is the reason why we want the NavIC to be in an immediate operational, especially in the conditions where China is having its own system, US, all the major powers were having their own. So it's the time that India should have its own.